Hi, welcome to Native Guides. This is your host, Quentin Garcia. It's time now to experience one of the many exciting activities offered by Key West in the fabulous Florida Keys. Perhaps our Native Guides can show you a part of your own backyard that you may have never seen. So join me now as we head out on another fun-filled, educational journey into the wonderful world of our pristine ecosystems. Key West is well known for its diversity of wilderness, museums, nightlife, and people. Native Guides will explore many aspects of living, working, and playing in our own little piece of paradise. Native Guides is brought to you in part by Seaplanes of Key West. Hi, and welcome to the Native Guide Show. This is your host, Quentin Garcia. Today we're at the Key West International Airport about to embark on an incredible journey to the fabulous Dry Tortugas. With me here now is Peter, the General Manager of Seaplanes of Key West. Peter, tell me a little bit about what we're going to be doing today.
Okay, well, I think a popular misconception for most visitors to the Florida Keys is that the Keys actually end in Key West. They actually don't. There's a chain of islands go a further 70 miles west of Key West, and at the end of the chain lies Dry Tortugas National Park. It's North America's most inaccessible national park, but the easy way to get there and the convenient way to get there is by Seaplanes of Key West. It's just a 30-minute ride away.
Well, that's a beautiful aircraft. I'll tell you what, Peter, we're going to get it together, and we're heading out to the Dry Tortugas. Seaplanes of Key West have really outdone themselves with this 10-passenger amphibious aircraft. In air-conditioned comfort, we will cover the distance to the Dry Tortugas National Park in only 30 minutes. As we leave Key West, we fly directly over the Key West National Wildlife Refuge. This unique natural environment consists of scores of mangrove islands, white sandy beaches, seagrass beds, and shallow water flats. These low-altitude flights allow you to see from a bird's-eye view a lot of the larger marine wildlife that abound in our local waters. Shipwrecks also abound in these shallow, hard-to-navigate waterways, and the many islands and beaches provide an excellent chance to take that perfect picture. Below us lies the Melfisher ship the Arbutus. The ship was sunk while searching for the famous Spanish galleon Atocha. Next, we pass over the remains of the Patricia, which was bombed by the U.S. Navy for years as a target ship. Our first sign that we have arrived are the shallow water reefs which mark the entrance to the park. The first sight of Fort Jefferson is awesome. Blue waters, emerald green shallows, and white sandy beaches surrounding a gigantic brick structure. We will be pulling right up on the beach with this amazing aircraft. Mickey, the pilot, has given us a smooth flight out. Once he checks our moorings, we'll be ready to disembark. Not only have we traveled 70 miles, but it also feels like we've stepped back in time 100 years or so. The only sounds you hear are the sounds of the many seabirds that live here and the waves lapping on these pristine natural beaches. And here we are at the fabulous Dry Tortugas after a 27-minute flight with Mickey. Mickey, what a flight out that was.
That was something else,
I spotted some sea turtles, and it was just an incredible time. Mickey, tell me a little bit more about what we do here.
Okay, well, Seaplanes of Key West offers several trips. The one that is most popular is our half-day trip. It's 2.5 hours at the Tortugas, and we sightsee both on the flight coming out and the flight back. We keep the airplane at 500 feet, and with the clear waters that are typical to this area, it's not uncommon to see sharks, porpoising dolphin, turtles, rays, and in we go over a couple of sunken vessels on the way out they make interesting photography. One was one of Mel Fisher's treasure salvage boats that sunk in close proximity to where he found the treasure. Once we get out of here, we fly by the fort at 500 feet. Great spot for a nice aerial shot. And then we circle around and we make a water landing, which in itself is rare for most people.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that water landing was something else. You know, I like the aspect of the seaplane because it does allow you to get into to areas that you couldn't get to without this type of a vessel or vehicle.
That's true, and you do not impact the area economic or ecology-wise between where you're going and where you've been.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you know, that's one of the things about the Dry Tortugas, folks, I have to tell you, that makes this place so incredible is the combination of the history, the stunning natural beauty. I mean, look around us. This is a wonderful spot. The wildlife, we have living coral reefs here just right off the beach, and we will be having a look at those later on in the show. So anyway, kick back and enjoy, and Native Guides is going to take you on a tour around the fort and explore some of the various wildlife that inhabits this small chain of islands. Well, here we are now in front of Fort Jefferson. Now, we're about to go inside and we're going to check out some of the history involved with this place. We're going to check out Sam Mudd's cell, for example. We are going to discuss some of the brickwork, where the bricks came from, the type of construction used, who built it. It's going to be very interesting. Now, just to talk a little bit about the Dry Tortugas themselves, the island chain is a chain of 7 islands. Now, we're standing on the largest island, which is called Garden Key. Now, the fort behind us was constructed in 1846 after they moved a lighthouse from this site. Now, the fort was discovered by Ponce de Leon in his voyage of discovery in 1513. Now, the reason it got its name, or the way it got its name, was because of the abundance of tropical sea turtles that he found when he got here. Not only were there loggerhead sea turtles, green sea turtles, and the Kemp's Ridley turtles, but they were here in such abundant numbers that he had to mark it because it was a boon. These guys traveled for months at sea with no fresh meat. So when they did find these turtles, of course we don't think so now, but back then it was a boon. In addition to that, the name Dry was added to the name Tortugas, which means turtle in Spanish, in case you hadn't guessed that, to warn mariners that there was no fresh water on the island. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go inside of Fort Jefferson. We're going to talk a little bit more about it once we get inside, but let's check it out. The way we find our way around Fort Jefferson is with these plaques, which are what they call the Soldier Tour, which you'll find in a number of national parks and fort systems throughout the country. Now, this allows you to experience some of the history that's involved with Fort Jefferson or any other fort that you may go to and kind of find your way around. Now, the beauty of Fort Jefferson, and one of my favorite aspects of this place, is that you can take your time, you can go through the place, you can sit on the grass, you can just relax, you can enjoy history, you can enjoy nature. The place is just fantastic. 16 million bricks. That's how many bricks went into the construction of Fort Jefferson. Fort Jefferson is an immense structure. The way that they got all the bricks in here was they were able to build it in a circular design. They transported all the bricks out and on the vessels of the day, and you got to remember 1846 was when they began construction on this fort. 1846, they didn't have much in the way of powerboats, so for the most part, these bricks were delivered here by sailing schooners. Now, the bricks came from various different areas in the country, and you can tell by the coloration where the various bricks came from. Some of them came from the deep south, Alabama area, where they were actually minted and then transported here, and some were actually minted in places like New York or in the Northern Territories. And keep in mind that Fort Jefferson, when it was constructed to be a northern port, even though it's 70 miles west of the southernmost city. You know, walking through this place, you can really get a feel for, I mean, it's almost ghostly. You can just hear the patter of the booted feet running along these corridors, preparing for some type of emergency out at sea. The structure is just something that you just can't compare to anything else that you may have ever seen. Fort Jefferson is, in my estimation, the most incredible tourist destination in the Florida Keys. And I got to tell you, gang, it just doesn't get any better than this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue on a little further, and we're going to have a chat with a couple other the visitors here on Fort Jefferson, and we're going to go have a look at Dr. Samuel Mudd's cell. Yeah, guys, what we're going to do now is we're heading to Sam Mudd's cell. Samuel Mudd, as you may or may not know, was convicted to spend 16 years of his life here at Fort Jefferson in prison, which was actually the only use that this fort ever saw was as a federal penitentiary. And you have to understand the conditions then were appalling. He lived in a very small cell. We're going to discuss the dimensions when we get there. But I got to tell you, this place is just so scenic that you just don't think of it as being a prison for someone. Well, here we are. We've arrived now at Sam Mudd's cell. We're going to go inside and check it out, talk a little bit more. But once again, folks, look around you and see that this is one of those places where you just wouldn't dream that this was some kind of a prison. This is just incredible. And as we look around inside of this place, just the oppressiveness of the bricks, the tons of bricks hanging over our head, just makes you think about what kind of a place was this? But more importantly, what kind of a place was this to do time? We're going to find that out in just a moment. Dr. Samuel Mudd's cell. And as we look around this place, gang, it's not too big, is it? Well, Samuel Mudd, it does have a happy ending to the story. He was originally sentenced to 16 years for, as we said earlier, his efforts to save John Wilkes Booth's leg and after the assassination of President Lincoln. On the wall behind me is a plaque in memory of Dr. Mudd, and basically what it says in a nutshell is thanks for all your help. There was a yellow fever outbreak here in the fort, and he worked tirelessly and devoted his skills and talent and courage and saved hundreds of lives. For his efforts, he was granted a full presidential pardon by President Johnson. And over here we have the man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Samuel Mudd. One of the biggest attractions to the Dry Tortugas are the shallow water reefs which surround Fort Jefferson and the other smaller islands. Large stands of staghorn coral offer shelter for marine crustaceans, baby sea turtles, and a large variety of tropical fish. These coral systems are great for the expert or beginning snorkeler. The reefs start right off the beach. Simply walk into the water and look down. Among the various species of fish you will see here are parrotfish, angelfish, damselfish, and snappers. Also, large groupers can be seen here from time to time. The water here is only 4 to 6 feet deep. That makes viewing these reefs easy as we can swim relatively close to the larger coral formations which dot the white sandy bottom. The nearest island to Garden Key is Bush Key. Separated by a small shallow channel, during certain months of the year this tiny island is home to thousands of sooty and knotty terns. Also, large populations of pelicans and seagulls can be found here year-round. Well, we're standing here on the top of Fort Jefferson right now at the Dry Tortugas. The second largest brick structure in the world, according to rumor. 16 million red bricks, as we covered earlier. We've seen a lot of scenery so far as the bird life, the plant life. We've seen a lot of the living coral reefs, which abound in this area as well, growing right along the side of the seawall in a lot of cases. And behind me, you guys may notice, is one of the most fascinating aspects of the Dry Tortugas chain. We have 3 species of birds, one that nests there exclusively for North America, and 2 species that nest exclusively in the world right here at the Dry Tortugas. The frigate bird, this is the only nesting site in North America. And the sooty and knotty terns, this is their only nesting site in the world. In other words, these birds come here from all over the world just to lay their eggs and rook their young right here on these little islands. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic thought when you think about what these birds go through, how far they have to travel to find what for all intents and purposes is just a speck in the vast Gulf of Mexico. Well, you talk about your big guns. Well, I'm sitting on one of the biggest ones I've seen right now. With any coastal fort, of course, defense was a very important aspect of what they did. This was a defensive fort. And again, remember that it was a northern port. Now behind me we have a lighthouse, which is actually a replica of the original lighthouse that was here. The lighthouse was the first structure here on the Dry Tortugas, or on Garden Key, and they moved it to another one of the islands, which is actually back here in the distance. When we think about national parks, generally what comes to mind is obviously wildlife, scenery, picnic areas, places to camp, which, by the way, the Dry Tortugas does offer the most pristine campsite, as far as I'm concerned, in South Florida. In addition to that, you surround yourself with the fort itself, which is a dominant structure out here. And you really can think about the accomplishment that mankind can do when he puts his mind to it, and still not be as obtrusive as you would think into Mother Nature herself. This structure, the largest brick structure in the Western Hemisphere, boasts some of the most rare wildlife that you're going to see here in the Florida Keys. And I love this place. I've been coming here since I was a boy, and I probably will continue to do so.
The Dry Tortugas offers something for everyone. If you're a history buff, the fort can provide you with hours of exploration. This amazing brick structure is surrounded by the azure waters of the Gulf of Mexico and gives you an excellent opportunity to take some fantastic pictures. Nature lovers always have something to look forward to, with the abundance of birds, fish, and the many other species of native wildlife that inhabit this stunning national park. If a walk on a beautiful white sandy beach is more your speed, the Dry Tortugas offers you many opportunities to enjoy some of the most scenic beaches in the Keys.
The Dry Tortugas also boast some of the most pristine white sandy beaches that you're going to find anywhere in this country. Add that to the fact that you team that up with all the incredible wildlife that we've been able to see, in addition to the history of the fort itself, and guess what, gang? We've got ourselves a beautiful destination. You know, the Dry Tortugas boasts some of the most incredible scenery on the planet, and you know, looking around, you really can't argue. The fort is obviously the dominating feature here, but not to mention that we have an abundance of living coral reefs here, tropical sea life, squids, octopus, fish, tropical fish, parrotfish, snappers, groupers, the list goes on and on. In addition to the incredible amount of bird life that we have here, in addition to that, it makes the Dry Tortugas one of the most exciting destinations that you're going to visit on your trip to the Keys. So I recommend that you come out here, and I tell you what, the Seaplanes is the most incredible way to get out here. Well, gang, I guess that's a wrap here at the Dry Tortugas National Park. I'll tell you what an incredible place, and you know, it always makes me happy that we have this kind of scenery right here in our own backyard. What do you think about that, Paul?
I think that's correct.
I think that's great too. What a wonderful place this is. You've been coming out here for a while. I understand your dad owns the Seaplane Company, is that it?
That's correct.
Yeah, so you have a good time out here? Been here a lot? You ever go camping out here?
No, but we are looking forward to in a few months.
As a matter of fact, that looks like a lot of fun. We usually come out here and go camping in the summertime. And it's just such a wonderful place. You could camp here over and over again and never get bored, right?
I don't think you could.
That's right. I'll tell you what, gang, Native Guides will be right back. Well, gang, the Dry Tortugas National Park, what's more to say about this place? What an incredible spot. You can camp here. You can play in the pristine waters along the white sandy beaches. You can enjoy Mother Nature. You can experience a little bit of history. And what better way to get here than with Seaplanes of Key West?
It is with a profound sense of regret that we once again turn our course back to the hustle and bustle of civilization. I leave here, though, with a feeling of well-being that can only come from experiencing a place like the Dry Tortugas. With its many forms of wildlife, teamed with the history of Fort Jefferson, this park is one of our most precious resources, so we must remember to respect this fragile environment to preserve it for future generations of explorers.